Good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid. I'm Brigid Burke. Today is the 20th of March, 2025, and it is now the spring equinox. I wasn't sure what time it came in, but I found out this morning it came in at 5:01 a.m. So I thought, for some reason I thought it was going to be in the evening, but I realized that for some people, spring kind of started on the 19th this year. Just like I think we see that with Taurus frequently in April. Sometimes it will start around the 19th. So yeah, so we've already begun spring. It's quite foggy out this morning here, but it is supposed to get nice later. And good morning and happy equinox. Hello, Alistair. Yes, and happy equinox to you as well. And yeah, that's what I was just saying. It's woken up it was kind of nice yesterday. Good morning. It's Aries season from Alex. Yes, exactly. And yes, and quite a start. And of course, if anybody ends up watching this and rewatch or whatever who's from Australia, happy autumn equinox, because we kind of have it both ways. But up here, yeah, a lot of us are in the northern hemisphere. It is definitely the spring equinox, and also definitely, as Alex mentions, Aries season. And I don't know, my energy feels different today. Yesterday I had to go, if anybody was trying to reach me yesterday, I had to go to the university where I'm going to be teaching again. And I had to go because I get this email at like 9:50 a.m. from the HR person. She's like, "Oh, I'm only here till 12:30 today. Can you come down and finish your, I-9 and all that kind of stuff?" And I was like, "Okay." And it was like, I said, "Well, it's going to take me an hour to get there." So I got myself together and I got there by like 11:30. But I was also, like I said, planning to do dinner with one of my friends from there. So I ended up sticking around all day, and everybody's kind of like, "Oh, everybody wants to talk to me about everything." So I mean, it was a nice enough day, but I still had a really bad headache that I was fighting. And so I just felt like I was out of it all day. And, but I woke up this morning feeling better. I woke up at like 3, like feeling like pressure on my shoulders. And then now I feel like it's more moved back to other extremities. So, have to do some yoga this morning and stuff. I woke up very late because I just needed to sleep last night. So, but yeah, but this morning, I guess point being, with being Aries season, I'm feeling extremely energized this morning, like weirdly energized. And I feel like I need to get down to brass tacks. I am going to do a Cattonia live stream at 3 because I just figured I was supposed to usually do it Wednesdays, but was out all day yesterday. So it wasn't going to happen. And I would not have been in the headspace even to do it from the university because I was just, really not really feeling well. I mean, it was good enough. Like I said, my dinner out was nice and everything, and had a good time. But by the time I got home and I still had a headache, I was kind of cranky. And but then, like I said, I woke up today feeling a lot better. So yeah. So what I want to do for today. Oh, and good morning, Kathleen. And you're just suddenly kind of appeared up between your comment appeared between Alistair and Alex. Really weird. Just so if you said it before, apologies. But yeah, good morning, and like I said, happy equinox. I'm going to do an equinox reading because I think that was the thing I was promising. And usually, what I like to do on the bigger occasions, when there's bigger things going on like this, I usually like to do a full horoscope spread. So rather than us doing just a little 3-card or 5-card, I'm going to do the big spread. And I'm going to clarify this spread today with I decided to pick up the Guardian of the Night Tarot. I haven't been using this one in a while, but this is one that's it's kind of a collage one that's done by MJ Coulinane, and it has a lot of animals on it. She also does a whole tarot of ravens, I think. She has something like that. So yeah, so I'm going to do the full horoscope spread. And let's see what we have for. So this is more for the collective. This is not my reading. This is for myself. This is a collective. Moving into Aries season, moving into the spring. What's the overall energy that we have? Today's energy, by the way, is very good astrologically. We have a Mercury and Venus at different times today are both going to be trine Aries. And trines are always very helpful aspects. They always kind of promote they promote the better energy of that particular sign. And good morning, Kelsey. Glad that you're on. Good to see you. So yes, we're doing our full spread here. And okay, oh, this is actually, we're actually off to a good start with this one. So Let me put my coffee down and get my other cards. But overall, really interesting aspect. I can show you that our center card is the wing disc. So that is really great, because wing disc in the center is that's overcoming obstacles. That's the rising of the sun, and of course the equinox is kind of the daytime and nighttime are theoretically equal. Say get rid of our first I don't know what word I should use for people who pop on the live stream with that kind of stuff, but anyway, we're not gonna have that. So yeah, we got the wing disc overall. So this is great. The wing disc is this energy of overcoming obstacles. It is typically it's kind of like the sun card in the tarot. It's the quote unquote happiest card in the deck, and you know, so there's definitely a very positive energy. We know that we have been told with the astrology by different astrologers that March is going to be a month where people are just like, you know, people are freaking out about a lot of things. And again, I'm not saying that people are not justified in some of their reasons, but what we are seeing here is this very the idea was that by the time we got out of March and into April, we're actually moving into a space that's going to be very it basically a lot of what's confusing right now, a lot of what has looked grim, what has looked negative is going to actually shift and change at this point. So I am very much looking forward to that. This reading so far, from what I'm seeing, and it definitely seems to be doing that. But right now, I just want to get the rest of the tarot cards laid out. And it's interesting. I don't know. Ooh. Okay. So let's see what we've got. And one more. All right. I like these cards a lot too because they flip very easily. This one is kind of fun for that. All right, so let's begin at the beginning of our reading. If you're not familiar with this particular spread or how I do readings, this is a full horoscope spread, and it does, of course, according to the 12 traditional astrological houses. So the cards that fall into those houses obviously mean what's connected with that house. So the first house is Aries energy, and that's typically connected with the identity, how others see us, how we present ourselves to the world. And this is really interesting because we have the twins in the first house, which we might think of as Gemini energy, can also be Libra type energy as well. But the twins is different from, say, the Lover's card in the tarot, because the twins means, it literally means like another person. It literally does have to do with another person, whether it has to do with love, whether it has to do with friendship. But in the first house, it often indicates either reflecting the identity of another person, or sometimes it comes up when we are, I don't know, like almost like when we're shifting between identities, like we're almost like we're two people, which sounds kind of weird, but if you understand what I mean by that. And what's interesting is we have it with the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords, basically, yeah, that's like a card of indecision. Like we're at the point of trying to decide, what that threshold of trying to come unstuck in terms of who we are going forward. You know, it's like we're transitioning between somebody that we were and somebody that we're going to be. Remember, also through a lot of Pisces season, we were seeing the Pisces card in the first house, which was Nepenthes, which is kind of I have no idea who I am right now, and I don't know where I'm going. So this is actually a step forward from that, because that says, okay, we're on the threshold. We have a clearer view of where we've been. And now we're getting ready to step into where we're going. And to a certain degree, we might be both people. And I don't mean that that sounds kind of strange in a way, but I think we are like that a lot of the time. And Sudha, good morning. Good to see you. I think a lot of what we're seeing on here is this kind of Two of Swords energy is just, yeah, like there's Two of Swords sometimes can represent a stuck state, you know, where we feel like we're not quite, where we're undecided, or we're at a place of peace, where we're not necessarily, we're kind of reluctant to move forward. We know we're going to move forward. We know there's a change coming, but we're like, okay, but at least right now it feels not quite so chaotic. And so this is happening in the house of personality. So we think about what we had in the reading yesterday when we were kind of talking, we had that Four of Pentacles energy kind of mixed in with all of this Aries fire energy. It's almost the idea of, I'm raring to go, but you know, at the same time, we're kind of still looking for that stable fixed point, which is not such a weird thing. But the Two of Swords often indicates, you know, if you just open your eyes to what's there, there's a lot of possibilities that are there. So yeah, so take that as it resonates for you. Second house has to do with, okay, that's where Venus is. That's where one of the places where Venus is retrograde. And second house has to do with our values, with our money, our possessions, luxuries, you know, things that we have value for. And this is interesting because we have the Water card and we also have the Queen of Wands. Okay, and the Queen of Wands. Okay, so yeah, the Queen of Wands is that very, very active energy. Water, though, of course, we think this is kind of water and fire together. Water has a lot to do with change and with flow and with trying to move into new things. Financially, sometimes it can indicate a flow of income, like where money is coming in, but it may also be flowing out. Like as we collect money, we're also paying off debts. You know, that kind of money that flows in. You know, yeah, the check comes in, the money goes out. There can be an energy of that. But with the Queen of Wands here, I feel more like I feel like this may be more about a change. I think the Water card here may have more to do with values, more to do with that Venus energy, the way in which one responds from the heart rather than the head. Okay, that we are that our values are trying to align with what has emotional meaning for us. And with the Queen of Wands here, I feel like that's like that again. That's a very fiery energy. Queen of Wands is a personality type that you can either. It seems to be a mixed bag when you talk about the Queen of Wands with people, like in tarot groups and in different places. Some people say, you know, they really like that energy. It's a very fiery. It's an energy that gets attention. It gets recognized. But some people think like, oh, it's too ambitious and too bossy. And I guess it all depends on, you know, if somebody feels like they have somebody who kind of more aggressively or assertively pushes them around, they may see that as Queen of Wands energy. And on the other end, I've heard people describe both, but I don't know. I tend to see it positively here. I think Queen of Wands is just stepping into your power, right? Stepping into your power and doing it through the heart space. And that this is the thing that is going to bring about sort of our personal financial independence in some cases. But this also is something that seems to be connecting in with what it is that we value. So, yeah. So we've got, so that looks interesting in the house of values, where there's definitely this move to the heart space. And of course, as we know, moving to the heart space can be messy. You know, it's messy. We can, you know, we want to think about it as the flow of love and the flow of good feelings, but sometimes it's also all the places where we feel we've been rejected, or all the places where we feel where we're not connected in, or different things, or, you know, where we just feel like maybe we don't fit in or we don't belong, or the way in which maybe we're, or maybe, you know, the way in which we're not meeting, you know, our goals or the things that we want to do. We can sometimes have that, you know, when we're going through the heart, we can start revisiting the ways in which we were betrayed, or the ways in which we feel that we wanted to be accepted in a certain place and maybe weren't. A lot of that stuff comes up when we start to do heart work as well, especially through Rahani and things like that. There is a lot of this working through that occurs, both, you know, emotionally, physically, and otherwise. But yeah, but this is what I feel from this one. I feel like it's there's a movement more to the heart space, and a movement more towards who we are and how we are going to step out and be recognized for what it is that we do. Okay, third house. Now this is where Mercury is retrograde. One of the Mercury houses. Basically, we've got the second and third, and then we've got the sixth and seventh that are being affected directly by the two retrogrades right now. And so Mercury, that particular house, the third house, is about messages, communications, can be about your local community. It can be about short distance travel because it has to more do with the local sphere rather than long distances. Can have to do with siblings, brothers and sisters. So this particular sphere, take it as it applies. But we have Ta with the Eight of Wands. Now that's interesting because Eight of Wands is fast movement. Now it's interesting. We have water in this house, and now we've got this fiery Eight of Wands. And Eight of Wands is, messages coming in very, very fast. But you still have this Ta energy, this Capricorn energy. So when Ta shows up, there's this sense that we need to, there's still a need to stay grounded. There's still a need to focus on building our structures, on building our community. Capricorn energy is slow and patient. And that's a bit of a contrast to the way in which things are moving very, very fast here with this energy. So I feel like what this is saying is this spring, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be coming up very, very fast. And we kind of have to pull that Saturnian discipline in that says, okay, I need to stay grounded and stay practical and think about how I'm going to manifest things, but doing it one step at a time. I almost feel like Ta has the energy of Pentacles in the sense of like the Knight of Pentacles and things like that, like that we slow but steady progress. We're going to do it very slowly and do things like that. So yeah, so I think what it's saying is that in terms of messages, now obviously it being Mercury retrograde until the 7th of April, we want to make sure that we're very careful about any communications we get anyway, any contracts we sign, any messages we get, anything that we feel compelled to act on right away. This Eight of Wands energy, this is saying like, yes, things may be coming at you very fast and you may feel like you have to act very fast, but just remember to act from a place of kind of not only from the heart space, but also with your feet on the ground. Which, to me implies that people could be getting some very exciting news. You know what I mean? You could be getting something where you're just like, wow, I can do this thing. But again, just it may be something where it's kind of, somebody was asking me yesterday about what happens when Sun and Rahu come together, or Jupiter and Sun, or Jupiter and Rahu come together. And I said, the one thing you have to be careful of is exactly what I'm thinking of here, which is that your kind of mind and your imagination can get ahead, and your confidence can get ahead of where you are. So there's a sense of like, take realistic stock of where you are, but be prepared for this change that's coming in. And if you operate kind of from that grounded place, you should be okay. Like you shouldn't make any mistakes. For some people too, this could have to do with messages and things literally connected to some kind of a work or something that they're building that may be coming in very, very fast as well. But again, when I see Saturn energy, I always feel like it's saying, take your time. Don't feel like you have to, don't feel like the house is on fire and you got to run right away. Like you just like, it's like, okay, stop and think. There's a lot of stop and think to that. And remember, think about what you're building. When you want to build something that lasts, you build it kind of slowly, brick by brick. You don't, if you try to slop something together, it's probably going to fall down. So it's that kind of energy. Okay, so now let's look at our fourth house, which has to do with our family. It has to do with, ancestry, connections like that. Our physical home, where we live. And, like I said, this is Cancer energy. This has to do with things connected to the moon. And like I said, right now, the moon is trining these other houses right now. And, what you call it? So we've got this, so this Cancer energy is in the fourth house. And very interestingly, the cards that we have here are Isis and the Four of Cups. Okay. Four of Cups is cute. You have this little guy. I forget what he is. He's a kind of an armadillo type creature, but maybe he is actually one, but he's kind of like the way that he nests and he kind of hides. I think that's kind of cute. But it's, yeah, okay. So this is interesting because we have mother cards in the mother house. Okay. So we're definitely seeing the strong feminine energy. Now that's, again, going to mean different things for different people, depending on what your mother karma is or what your mother situation is. And mother karma, don't forget, isn't just always about your actual mother. Sometimes it just has to do with the mother image when we think about it more archetypally. What is our association with that? And maybe with regard to ourselves, what do we feel our expectation is with that? whether we're actually parents or not. Okay. And so with the Four of Cups with this, the Four of Cups is a restlessness. Okay. The Four of Cups is like, this is the person who's kind of been hiding. And I think a lot of us have related to the feeling of wanting to hide for all this time, right? And be like, you know, I just, as Joanne would say if she was on this morning, I want to hide under my blanket fort. You know, I just don't want to, there's just days when you just don't want to be out there. So you almost get that feeling from this card, like this little guy just kind of burrowing in and hiding somewhere. But I think more what this is about is there's a restlessness to move ahead. There's a restlessness to move on to the next thing. But Four of Cups has a lot to do with it's when we're bored and restless and dissatisfied. Okay, and with Isis, there is this very strong nurturing energy. There's often an energy of patience, of needing to be patient. Again, kind of like what we saw with the Saturn energy. But Four of Cups also reminds us that in our restlessness, not to miss opportunities, because the Four of Cups may indicate that we may only be looking at the negatives of a particular situation. You know, or we may just be looking at ways in which things hold us back. So if we're talking about family and family stuff, okay, which has been a theme, again, for a lot of people, we might have a tendency only to look at what's negative, or we may just look at something as the way in which our past may have held us back. But instead, I think what we need to be looking at here is how does our past potentially help us? Even if it has been a difficult past, or even if it has been problematic, where are the opportunities? Where are the opportunities? It's easy. It's kind of easy to look at things in a very negative light, but where are even like, again, even assuming experiences are legitimately negative, what can be done with that? You know, we always talk about in Tantra the idea of that. You know, it's the crap of life. It's the things that are problematic that actually are the kind of the fertile soil for building the things that we actually want. Like it's the crummy experiences of our life can be opportunities. So I don't know. It's interesting because it seems to be saying that we want to look like that. Look into that. And again, this seems to be specifically connected with mother energy in some way. So again, that will be different for everybody and how that resonates. So, okay, let's get to the fifth house, which is Leo energy. And Leo is about, well, that's speaking of being recognized. That's the energy of the sun. That is the energy of it can have to do with recreation and sport. It can have to do with being creative. Anything that you do that's a creative expression. Having children. Okay, your children, if you have them, would be in that particular house. And if you're somebody dating or having a love affair or looking to have a love affair with somebody, that's also an energy of this house. Has a lot to do with sport and stuff too. And Suda says manure is also fertilizer. Exactly. Yes, it stinks, but it does actually serve as a fertilizer. It does actually bring about new things. In fact, now that you're saying that, I'm reminded that we have several farms over here, and I said I'm just waiting for the manure scents to start to come. Because I'll walk outside and just be like, oh God, you know, there is a time of year where that happens. Of course, maybe it's already passed. I always tend to forget. I just know I walk outside and just think, ugh, I just want to get out of here. But yeah, you're right. Manure is fertilizer. That's the thing. Out of filth comes. Actually, if you think about lotus flowers, what they grow out of is this kind of scum on the pond. Like there's this, you see them kind of grow out of this kind of filth. But they're these very beautiful flowers that tend to be that representation of the opening of spirit, right? So interesting. So, okay, so fifth house, our Leo energy, and wow, we've got double fire in this one too. We've got the sun. So we've got the card indignity for this house, which is great. The sun energy, again, you know, everything is open. We're able to see certain things. And Osiris, we've got this is a Sagittarius card. And it's interesting because I was doing some readings. I tend to see Osiris as having a strong emperor vibe, that it has to do with the energy of, what you call it? It's the energy of leadership, of being in control, of things being secure. Now, for those of people who are looking for partners, this could indicate somebody with those characteristics. Maybe they are somebody who's a fire sign, or just somebody who is very strong and, I'm going to sound like Theresa May, strong and stable, right? But it's just like, yeah, there's going to be this energy of that. I always look at Osiris as someone who has good judgment, who's very, very stable. And so this could be you, this could be another person, this could be one of your children. I mean, it all is going to depend, but there's definitely this idea of it's like a time to shine. When the sun shows up in this house, it's like you're going to be recognized. So like I said, either you're going to have a partner who is somebody who's recognized, you yourself may be recognized, and perhaps if you're somebody out, like, I don't know, looking to date and to do things, maybe you are going to be more recognized by people. If you're married in a family situation and have children, it could be that your children are going to do something that's going to bring positive attention to them and to what they accomplish and what they're doing. So take it as it resonates. It's going to be different for everybody. But if again, if it doesn't have to do with a relationship or a child situation, it can just be your own creative work, something that you're doing that you're going to be, it's going to be time to be recognized for something that you're doing and to be recognized as the person who is, you know, like I said, the Osiris comes across as the authority. You know, there's definitely a sense of like the somebody people look to and say, yes, that person knows what they're doing, or they know what they're talking about. Osiris is also king of the underworld, though, too. So there may be this sense, too, of things that are being, I don't know, being brought up and integrated. Because if it is Sagittarius, it is also about integrating. That's usually associated with the Temperance card, right? It's about how we integrate. Speaking of back to the whole manure thing, integrating that with where we're at. So that's certainly a very interesting and promising thing, again, depending on what people are looking for in the spring. Okay, so let's get on to the 6th house. Now, this is the Virgo house. And again, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So this is one that's affected by the retrograde right now. And 7th house is about our health. It's about any job service that we do to others. And it can also be about what we're worried or anxious about, because Virgo is very detail-oriented and very perfectionist. And so there's a need to, you know, keep that in balance. I mean, it's not bad to be detail-oriented, but keep it in balance. Not to be overly concerned. We can be overly concerned with things like that. And people have pets and so forth too. That also falls into this house. So we've got air with the 7 of Pentacles. Okay, 7 of Pentacles is interesting. You've got all these little spiders and spider webs here on this one. And yeah, and we have air. So, okay. So this suggests to me a couple of things. First of all, 7 of Pentacles definitely shows this as being an area of reevaluation for people. So you could be revisiting diet and exercise routines, for example, or ways in which you might improve your health. That's a possibility here. You may be looking at jobs you're doing, or you may be looking at how well, if you are doing something that is a service to others. Again, this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier this week about, you know, who am I giving to, right? That 6 of Pentacles energy. Who am I giving to? And making decisions about who we are going to give to. And air indicates a certain level of detachment. I mean, air energy is Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, right? So there's this energy of, again, movement and change. We had that over in the other Mercury house too. It's interesting because air can also be, like the 8 of Wands, fast movement, but it's looking at it from within more of an air suit than a fire one. So there could be a lot of changes. And again, there's this idea of reevaluating. The fact that it's the house of worry, I always feel like when air shows up in the house of worry, it means like, you know, take a step back. Take a step back. Don't freak out at what's in front of you. Just take a step back and evaluate and think. Because 7 of Pentacles implies that even though we're ready to move, there is a need for patience. So I just find it really interesting that the 6th house and the 3rd house seem to kind of mirror each other in terms of what they're saying. Big change coming in, but slow and steady, take your time. Make sure you've integrated the old thoroughly before you begin the new. And also remember, too, that when we're talking about retrograde periods, because Venus retrograde ends April 13th, as I said, Mercury ends April 7th. But again, I think as Kelsey pointed out yesterday, there's also the post-shadow periods as well that we have. And yeah, when you have, so there's that period of time of saying, just make sure you have all the information, make sure this is part of the reason I think it's saying, make sure you're not too tied to the past, because retrogrades often bring past situations back. And the challenge is, what are we going to do differently this time when they come around again? It's not necessarily that we're going to, not like Groundhog's Day, that movie where, you know, you just keep playing the same scene over and over again. You know, we're trying to figure out where we're going here. So, okay. So now let's get into the 7th house. This is Libra energy. And this has to do with our relationships. Like I said, people who are married, this would be marriages. If you are in a serious committed partnership of any kind, that would be in this house. And also just business partnerships, any kind of legal arrangements. I always feel, even though this house isn't technically about law, Libra does have to do with the scales of justice, so there could be a touch of that in here as well. But I feel like this just has to do with significant relationships that you have. Again, whether you, some people don't have any legalized relationships in their lives, so if you don't, then this just would have to do with some connection that's significant. And of course, people who are looking for a long-term commitment, that can be an aspect of this house as well. But we have, interestingly, we have Ankh with the Ace of Cups. So, okay, so people, it's funny, people who are actually looking for new love, like it seems like spring is the time of romance, right? Well, actually, this may be true for some people. If people are looking for new love, this is definitely a good omen for that. That's interesting that I'm coughing right now. Anyway, I hope that does not continue. Yeah, so, I mean, if somebody was coming for me who was single, I'd be like, hey, this looks really good for love. Okay, but for those of you on here who are not, maybe already in a stable relationship or whatever, I don't know, could mean a new spark if things have been kind of, quiet or dull or kind of, not, there maybe there's going to be some more of a move towards intimacy or towards, more emotional intimacy. That is definitely a possibility here. But this also might indicate thinking about the way in which love and the heart may inform our relationships in life as well. This brings a lot of love for others. So if we want to think about it more generally in terms of the house of Libra, Libra is already a very friendly sign. Can be an indecisive sign too, which is interesting when I think about the first house over here and what we're seeing. But this is definitely an energy of being motivated, of moving towards something new, moving towards something where the heart space is open. Okay, so if it's not specifically about love for people, it would be about opening the heart space and about focusing on. It could be focusing on intimacy, and it also could be focusing on what really makes us happy. People might be evaluating their own relationships or their own partners or their own thoughts about what they would want in relationship with regard to where's my heart really at. Okay, so there's a lot of energy of that. But yeah, that's definitely a good omen for somebody looking for love. Okay, 8th house. Let's talk about Scorpio energy here. And Scorpio is life and death energy, endings and beginnings, transformations, people who deal and learn things through hidden matters like astrology and stuff like that. That's covered by the 8th house. And let's see, and other people's money. This is a joint finance house. So interestingly, we have the Hathor and we have the Death card. Okay. So, and death in this one is interesting. This is kind of this owl that's showing up over this rather thorny patch right here. And I think owls are actually an omen of death in some, at least in some cultures, maybe in native cultures. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So we've got this death card in the death house, and we've got it with Hathor. Okay, so this is more feminine energy. So I don't know. I think the death card, we know, again, I was having this conversation with my sister yesterday, who's currently learning tarot, and I said, death does not have to mean literal death. Okay, and frequently in tarot, you don't want to interpret it that way. Although I often said over time, realistically, I said if there are people who are at the edge of life and are, right on the edge there, it could indicate that somebody's going to have a release. That is possible. But it's not a prediction of that. This card never predicts something like that. So I think it's more a problem when people come in for readings and they see that there and they go, oh, I'm going to die. I'm like, no, you're not going to die. Nobody here's going to die. So don't worry about that. But there is going to be significant change. When death card shows up in the 8th house, then this is deep, profound, fundamental change. If it doesn't have to do with a literal passing of somebody, and again, I don't think people should interpret it that way. It has more to do with that we are going through a profound change. And from what we can see in the rest of the reading so far, this may make us restless about where we live. This may make us restless about what we're doing, about our community, about what we're connecting with. There's all of this restless energy here and where we're ready to move. We're ready to do things, but we may not be totally decided yet on where we're going. But we are definitely in a time to shine. We're definitely in a time to be recognized. And this really, a lot of what we're seeing so far is a real opening up of the heart space. You know, this idea that I'm opening up my heart enthusiastically to do the things that I feel that I need to do, that I'm ready to do. But this is saying there's this idea of profound change that's going on here. So we need to acknowledge endings. I always feel when we see that there's a need to acknowledge endings, acknowledge what is finished, right? And with Hathor, again, there's this strong feminine energy. I often find that this can be interpreted. There seems to be this seems to be connected to the feminine energy, and there's two ways to look at that. Again, if we go back to what we were seeing in the 4th house with Isis, I kind of connect these two energies. Although Hathor to me seems to be more like the Empress, so and it's more Taurus Virgo kind of energy. So I feel like it's almost like saying something is ending and the seeds are being planted for something new. Okay. I feel like this is like almost like, okay, something is ending, but we also have this Empress energy, like we were saying, about that which has fallen away becomes the seeds for the new thing that we're going to be building. So I think a lot of the work that we've all been doing and a lot of the heartache we may have been suffering, or maybe physical pain, or just different things that have been going on over this winter, or even just collective trauma and feelings of insecurity. This is all kind of like, this is all about what's falling away and about what's coming into play. So this suggests to me that an old system is ending and this new system is coming in, and it has a very strong feminine vibe to it. I've said this before. So I feel like we are kind of at the beginning of that. Okay, I see we're at 8:06, so I better hurry up here. 9th house, Sagittarius energy. This is okay. If the 3rd house is about what's local, this is about what's far away. Long distance travel. It's about freedom. It's about independence. It's about higher education. It's about spirituality, going very deeply into things instead of just superficially. And we have Horus with the Tower. Okay, so this is where our Uranus energy is. So the Tower, yeah, this is like a great awakener. And to have it with Horus, now this sometimes also has to do with family. So you can take that as it resonates. I know some people have been doing explorations, like genealogical explorations of family members that may be far away. Maybe some people are taking trips to different places, with regard to their ancestry, but there could be some surprises if somebody is choosing to do that, because with the Tower, that's unexpected information that comes in, right? Like, oh, I didn't think this was going to happen, or I didn't think, or learning something that you had no idea, and maybe it's like a bombshell, right? But I also feel like there's a tearing down and a rebuilding here as well. Horus, to me, connects in with this Leo energy, this sun energy. So yeah, I feel like okay, what's coming into my head actually is that barriers to freedom are being torn down. Barriers to our freedom. The deaths and the endings that we have are going to be are those barriers to us. Now, some of those might connect in with family. And when I say family, I mean more like, ancestral attitudes and things of, oh, but I can't do this, or, oh, but, it wouldn't look right to this group of people if I did that. Like all these narratives that we have around what we owe other people. Okay, Horus is also, this is very independent. Again, somebody shining within their own light. And as a result, this represents kind of a tearing down of an old system. Uranus energy can be very, very good energy, because it can, when things are just not moving, it can, very Aeon of Horus. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Almost quite literally, right? There's that tearing down of that old order, and it's happening in a spiritual house. So that's interesting that you bring that up, right? It's very, in a very Thelemic sense, yeah. That is very Aeon of, that moving into the space of the crowned and conquering child, right? That space of the, that child energy and getting away. There's a lot here about pulling away from ancestral patterns and things like that, and having that kind of shakeup. But, and I know this sounds very profound for spring, but do remember what the astrology is right now. It's pretty intense right now. Okay, 10th house, Capricorn energy. And wow, we've got Earth with the Ace of Pentacles. So for some people, again, new job, new money, new career, potentially, or maybe something you've been doing that you've been really diligently working at is now going to start to yield fruit. So if people have been starting a business or working at something else, or there's some situation where you've been trying to build up your coffers, this is a great omen. We've got Ace of Cups for relationships. We got Ace of Pentacles up here in in terms of your public space. So again, that also says to me that what you're doing, because the 10th house is the public facing house, how other people, what you're doing for the community, the world at large, how people see you, okay, as opposed to what you might do behind the scenes. And this is almost like a new opportunity for this, and this would also imply financial security. Okay, so this is a very good thing, but again, in true Capricornian fashion, we have Earth. There's that, you know, the hard work that we're putting in is going to yield the fruits that we are looking for. So yeah, we are definitely, there's somebody here maybe getting a new job, but there's definitely this sense of a new beginning for us in terms of our career. And Alex says, ooh, I hope so. I'm waiting for that new job fruit to be ripened. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope this is, I hope that's a call out for you, because yeah, there's definitely this new energy that's coming in here. And yeah, this is actually really great. I mean, to see Ace of Pentacles with this in the Capricorn house, because Capricorn is Earth, and so everything there is in dignity, so it's exalted. And yeah, it is the idea that what we've been doing is going to pay off. I also do like to remind people, though, that Pentacles represent beginnings. So we always have to remember that we are at the beginning of something, but it's a very promising beginning. So in other words, the beginning is not the end. Sometimes people get there and they're like, okay, I'm here, so why isn't this happened yet? And it's like, well, because you're at the beginning. You start, when you're at the beginning of the journey, you're not quite at the end. So anyway, but yeah, very good omen for career, towards people who are looking to have a career that also is financially secure. Definitely very good for that. Okay, 11th house, we've got Pyramid with the Ace of Wands. Now, this is the house of Aquarius. So this has to do with our friendships and our social networks, the people that we associate with, our hopes and wishes, you know, that we have, the things that the destiny, things that we're trying to manifest, and everything associated with Aquarius, you know, humanitarian thinking, thinking about the wider social order. And again, we've got 3 aces here. Okay, I'm seeing if we have another one. There's 3 aces, 3 out of 4 aces. And this is an Ace of Wands. This is fiery new start. This is ambition. This is Aries energy. So there's a lot here about people being seen, about you being seen for the work that you're doing. But again, we've got it with Pyramid. So Pyramid seems to indicate that this is a new start, but there's also this implication not only of a test period or some kind of test there, but also the fact that something could take some time to build. There is a lot of new beginnings, but remember, we've got this energy that says we've planted the seeds. We can be excited about the seeds we've planted, but give them some time to grow. Pyramid can also indicate that we're being tested. And I do feel like when we're coming into individuality, when we're testing out like a new us that maybe feels more authentic, there may be some tests with regard to the people in our social group and our community, because sometimes people want the old you, right? You know, oh, I don't, you know, why are you this way, whereas before you were this way? You could find yourself being tested, and there may be a test about how true are you going to be to yourself with respect to that. But to me, I think this is suggesting that that is just a temporary thing, and that whatever changes you're making, even if there are people who are kind of like, ooh, at first, it should be fine ultimately. And our 12th house, we finally have Pisces house. This is the house of what is hidden, what is unconscious, what is where our self-doubt is, but also where our souls can be liberated. It's kind of the it's the house of saints and madmen, as they say. It's the one where all possibilities, because it's Pisces. Pisces can let us dream big. Pisces can also deceive us. However, we have Anubis here. Anubis in the 12th house very literally means if you are not deceiving yourself. Okay, so this is about seeing things clearly. Anubis is great to get in the 12th house, because whatever feelings, if you're thinking like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, the self-doubt, it's saying don't have self-doubt. Your intuition's spot on. And again, you have this with the King of Pentacles here, which is interesting, because King of Pentacles, again, that is the culmination of the suit of Pentacles. This is about what we value. It's about money. It's about security. And it's about, the king is the one who's got it all under control. You know, the king says, you know, and so, yeah, there may be some wonder about whether or not things are really going to be as good as you think they're going to be, or whether or not you're really going to be able to get things under control. And it's like, yeah, but this is going on in the background. This King of Pentacles energy is in the background. It's what's hidden. So yeah, there may be some concerns about maybe whether or not you can make it from the ace to the king. But Anubis would just say no. And it also suggests that we're being guided. finally, got 1 minute to go, and we've got the overall, we said we had our wing disc, and we have it with the King of Cups. So we have another king. And what is the King of Cups? King of Cups has to do with our emotions. It has to do with the way in which we manage our emotions or have control of our emotions, and the way in which we open on the heart space and focus on our heart space. Okay. And so to me, success comes from honoring what's in the heart space. Okay. So all this time when we're trying to make these changes and maybe thinking like, oh, but I don't know if I can really do this. I don't know if this is going to be acceptable. I don't know if I can make money at this. I can know this and that, all the things. I feel like this is a very encouraging message towards letting go of what no longer serves and moving into that new space for ourselves, whether that has to do with what's going on with us locally, because there's big changes that are coming. And, but it is reminding us, you want to remember the past in as much as you have integrated the lessons of the past, internalized them as you move forward. Because as you move into this new space, obviously the old is not without its value, but it's not that you want to repeat the old, it's that you want to feel that and say, okay, I was there, I understand this in this context, but now this is what I'm going to do. So anyway, we're at 8:16. I hope this reading was helpful. I always like doing these. These are fun. I kind of miss doing them on a weekly basis, but it's just a time constraint. So I'm probably just going to be doing these more periodically. But anyway, this looks great. So happy spring equinox. Best of luck to everybody in this new period of time. And those of you who are on my list and have been doing classes and stuff, you'll probably hear from me today because I know we're doing a tarot workshop this weekend. And yeah, and beyond that, I'm on Katonia live stream at 3 Eastern time if you want to join me. And yeah, with that, have a great day. Have a great first day of spring. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. Take care. Very good. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome.